Welcome to Ancient Wild TV, where we journey back in time to explore the fascinating creatures of the past. Today, we're diving into the world of one of North America's most mysterious predators, the direwolf. No, this isn't a Game of Thrones fan fiction. These beasts were real, and their story is unlike anything you've ever heard. From towering over modern wolves to having their own unique lineage, the direwolf has left behind a legacy that still fascinates scientists today. So, sit back and prepare to be amazed as we uncover the truth behind these ancient giants. This isn't a Game of Thrones fanfiction episode. But guess what? Direwolves were real. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the world was filled with creatures that we'll never see again. And among those ancient beasts, one of North America's top predators was the direwolf. They appeared mysteriously and vanished along with mammoths and saber-toothed tigers at the end of the Ice Age. At first, everyone thought they were close relatives of the gray wolf, but the first ever DNA analysis flipped that belief upside down. Direwolves are truly unique, totally different from wolves, jackals, or domestic dogs, so much so that they don't actually fit into the same group. In fact, according to researchers, it's time for a new scientific classification just for these mysterious creatures. Now, archaeologists have solid evidence that direwolves roamed across North America from about 250,000 years ago to around 13,000 years ago. Imagine these giant predators, about 20% larger than today's gray wolves. You could tell just by looking at their massive skeletons. Like typical wolves, they probably hunted in packs, chasing down bison, ancient horses, and maybe even small mammoths and mastodons. But many of them met their fate in the sticky asphalt of the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles, where they got trapped and preserved for all time. If you ever visit the La Brea Tar Pits Museum in California, you'll see hundreds of direwolf skulls neatly lined up on the walls. But here's the kicker. That's where our knowledge hits a dead end. Because their skeletons look so much like gray wolves, everyone assumed they were close cousins. Scientists have called them canis dirus, placing them in the same group as gray wolves, coyotes, and domestic dogs. But the one thing that could have settled this debate, the direwolf's DNA, was destroyed by the tar in those pits. However, in a recent study, researchers went on a genetic treasure hunt across North America, digging into direwolf remains at universities and museums. And guess what? They struck gold. They managed to extract about 1/4 of the nuclear genome and the entire mitochondrial DNA from 5 different individuals, aged between 13,000 and over 50,000 years old. And the result? A completely new family tree with a huge surprise. Direwolves belong to a separate lineage. They aren't in the same family tree as African jackals, gray wolves, coyotes, or domestic dogs. In fact, they branched off nearly 6 million years ago. So instead of lumping them in with the canis group, researchers want to place them in a larger family along with foxes, jackals, and other dog-like creatures. The new classification for direwolves is Enigmatic dirus, a name first suggested back in 1918. And collagen studies from La Brea direwolves support this idea, further solidifying the reason for the reclassification. Ancient canid experts have now agreed on this new classification based on genetic evidence. This definitely changes the way we picture direwolves. Forget the typical image of a big, fierce gray wolf. Living in warmer regions of North America, direwolves might have had features more common in hot climates, like reddish fur, a bushy tail, and rounder ears. Imagine a giant red coyote, but with terrifying size. When I say big, I really mean it. While a coyote weighs around 44 pounds, 20 kilos, a direwolf starts at 132 pounds, 60 kilos. And it wasn't just their intimidating size, they also had some seriously unique and kinda scary features. Especially compared to gray wolves. One of their most recognizable traits was, of course, their size. Paleontologists crunched the numbers and found that an average adult direwolf weighed between 132 and 150 pounds. 60 to 68 kilos size. That's already on par with the largest gray wolves today. But wait, some were even bigger. We don't know the exact size of these megawolves, but paleontologists estimate that the maximum size could have reached 243 pounds, 110 kilograms. However, going beyond that was impossible due to skeletal limitations. Even without venturing into extreme theories, the confirmed sizes still make direwolves one of the largest canines to ever walk the earth. And if they were classified as wolves, they would easily take the crown as the largest canis species ever. Speaking of size, I've got to tell you, there wasn't much difference between male and female direwolves, especially when it came to their bones and teeth. Surprisingly, there wasn't a lot of the typical sexual dimorphism that we usually see in animals. Both male and female direwolves had similar tooth sizes and bone structures. If you're imagining fierce males battling it out for mates with giant canine teeth, think again. With direwolves, where both sexes had almost identical teeth, it suggests there wasn't much competition between males. Instead, researchers believe direwolves were likely monogamous, with one male and one female pairing up for life. Now, what did they like to eat? Turns out these guys were hardcore meat lovers, with about 70% of their diet consisting of meat. Wild horses and bison were their favorites, and they occasionally enjoyed a fancy feast of mastodons or giant ground sloths. But they weren't really into smaller snacks, probably because their back teeth were built for tearing, not chewing. Can you picture that? These direwolves weren't the kind to take their time chewing. They just ripped off huge chunks and swallowed them whole. And this dining habit might have contributed to their extinction. When the environment started changing, picky eaters like direwolves might have struggled when large prey like wild horses and bison became harder to find. However, surprisingly, they had a bit of a sweet tooth too. They sometimes snacked on berries. Yeah, I know. It's wild to think of these giant predators munching on berries. But what we know for sure is that they definitely lived in packs. This belief is supported by the discovery of direwolf remains at many sites across the Americas, all grouped together. One of the most famous spots for this ancient wolf gathering is, of course, the La Brea tar pits. And the craziest part is that so many direwolf fossils were found there. It's pretty convincing that these wolves were serious pack animals. However, we don't know exactly how big these packs were. Estimates suggest they could have ranged from 12 to 30 individuals. Wow, that's a lot of wolves. But it was their pack structure that made them so successful. Together, they were a serious threat to other predators. Fossil evidence shows that direwolves were truly the kings of the carnivores in their time. Their packs had a power duo, two alphas leading the way. The rest of the pack consisted of the offspring of these alpha pairs from several generations. Direwolves shared their territory with other predators like saber-toothed tigers, American lions, short-faced bears, and modern-day cougars. This predator-packed scene meant fierce competition for food. Studies on the bones of direwolf prey reveal that these wolves were anything but delicate eaters. They devoured as much as possible, as quickly as possible, a clear survival strategy in their tough environment. And what about humans? Early Native Americans probably weren't doing the direwolves any favors. Both humans and direwolves shared North America for thousands of years, with humans arriving more than 20,000 years ago, while direwolves stuck around until about 9,500 years ago. So why did direwolves disappear? Scientists aren't completely sure yet, but one famous theory is climate change. Maybe the large prey that direwolves relied on died out due to changing climates. Meanwhile, gray wolves and coyotes survived by switching to smaller prey, but perhaps the real reason lies in the social structure of direwolves. Their unique way of living may have been what led to their extinction rather than a lack of prey. And don't forget, humans may have played a role too by competing with direwolves for the same prey. In the end, these North American giants, 20% larger than today's gray wolves, are considered one of the most famous prehistoric carnivores to ever exist. Their dominance, especially at the La Brea tar pits, challenges what we know about Pleistocene predator hierarchies. And even though they're extinct, this magnificent animal will live on in our imaginations when we think of the Ice Age. Thanks for watching Ancient Wild TV. What intrigued you the most about direwolves? Was it their massive size, their pack hunting strategies, or the mystery of why they vanished? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more incredible stories about the wild creatures of our ancient world. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the past with Ancient Wild TV.